Is that what we're ashamed of? We're ashamed of that we're going for it 110%, that we're giving it our all, that when we go for it and we mess up, you'll have an opinion about me?
I've built many startups, most of them have failed, so Bitcoin is exactly the place that I like to be.
We're going to end it right there. What is it about us people? What is it about us? What is it about us that we innately are too hard on ourselves? That's the topic for today. And we have come to this topic because I had an experience with my son yesterday. I had said, I am the type of dad that goads and encourages my children to do more than usual activities outside. Let's just put it that way. Let's just say I don't mind adding a little bit of risk, but what I really mean to say, what I really mean to say is I don't mind adding excitement, but with excitement comes a little bit more risk. And so for those that know and have seen me do these things before, like my kids are always riding their bikes outside. We just love to have kids that are always outside, just like you and I were back in the 70s and 80s, guys. I mean, we grew up outside, right? So I love having my kids outside. They love riding their bikes, and I was an avid bike rider. I still have my bike right here, but I don't ride as much, but I love doing wheelies. So I love doing wheelies, and I have shown both my children how to do wheelies on their bikes. Now, they're practicing these things, and obviously whenever you do anything new like this, you can make mistakes. You can get hurt. You can fall back. I'm also the type of appa. I'm also the type of father when they're riding their bikes, and I see a stone and I see a board. I kind of put two and one together and make two. Let's build a ramp. And so some of you guys have seen that in some of the previous videos, but I've created a ramp for my kids as well. So I like adding excitement and obviously thereby adding just a little bit of risk. But I had an event that happened yesterday with my son, and he was practicing his wheelies, and he was practicing, and you know, whenever you practice and you try to push the limit just a little bit, you're gonna come back. Now, he's had a couple of these where he's gone too high, and he's learned how to pop off his seat, plant his 2 feet on the ground, and you know, the bike stands up, and you're good. But sometimes you pop up too fast and you end up falling. Well, in this particular occasion, it was really interesting, and I watched the entire thing unfold, is that he popped up. It was just a little bit too far, but he leaned into it, right? And this is when you know you're going to make that break, right? You're going to do that little risky thing, and it could end up spelling disaster for you. But man, if you stick it, right? If you stick it, you'll come out and you'll be a champion type of deal. Anyway, it didn't work out like that. It didn't work out like that, guys. So he popped up, went a little too far, he leaned into it, gave it a little bit more juice, and then unfortunately came right down hard on his front wheel. And so he came back, and then like jerk, boom, slam, front wheel down, okay? So front wheel down coming from a wheelie, and he flies over the handlebars, hits the side of his body, his left side of his body on the handlebars, you know, crash, roll, ow, big deal. And for me, as a father, I watch this, and I don't rush to his side. I watch it, and I could see he was clearly in pain. But more than that, He was shamed. I could see he was holding back the tears from the pain of that fall, and he's immediately grabbing his bike, walking opposite direction of me so I can't see his face. And I catch up to him. I grab the bike. I put my hand on it. I stop it. I say, son, you don't need to get back on the bike. You don't need to get back on this bike. And he's pushing. He's not looking at me because if he knows that he catches my eyes, and I know this too, right? He knows if he catches my eyes, it's coming out. And I hold there and I say, bro, you don't need to get back on the bike. Just chill. You just fell off, man. Just chill. And he's still kind of tugging, trying to get away, right? And then finally he gives in. You can't beat Appa. I'm going to stand there. I'm going to kneel there until you give in. And he turns around and he looks at me and I say, bro, I know it hurt, man. I know it hurt, bro. It's okay. You can just chill. And when he hears those words, he immediately goes, Appa, it hurts so bad. And he comes and he crumples in my arms, and I give him a huge hug. I put the bike down and I tell him it's all right. You know, we have to give ourselves a permission to fail. We have to give ourselves permission to make mistakes. It's called learning. We had this. I get this. This is a parent-child issues. Kids don't want to fail in front of their parents. I didn't want to fail in front of my parents. I get it. We don't want to fail. We don't want to look like we messed up. I can give you 1,000 examples of how this played out in my life. I was always into public speaking. Some of you guys could probably say, well, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, even at the youngest age, I think I started doing public speaking probably, was I in Tokyo when I was doing some stuff? Yeah, probably, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? Yeah, so I've been into public speaking, and I've done public speaking in terms of at the church. I've done public speaking for consulting. I've done public speaking on behalf as a ambassador, different organizations in the past. But I'll tell you this, the few moments when I have had to speak and do public speaking, and my father was present, I'll tell you, it was always really interesting to look out in the crowd and see him. And the reason is because he would never watch me. Oh, he would watch me get on stage, and he would watch me prepare, and he would prep and then get ready to go. And then I never knew when. Actually, I never knew when. All I know is that there was always a moment in the beginning of my talk, my speech, the thing that I was doing, that I would look out in the crowd and I would see my father, and every time I glanced down around where my father was, his eyes would always be closed. His eyes would always be closed. And I'll tell you, I never knew the reason why. I could probably conjure up some assumptions as to why. Maybe it's because he just wanted to hear and listen and totally suck in what his son is talking about. Maybe he closed his eyes because he doesn't need to see me speak, because he knows what I look like. He knows my mannerisms. He knows my behaviors. He knows all of this. And so he just wants to focus on what I'm saying. I always thought, to be quite frank with you guys, I always thought he closed his eyes because he didn't want me to feel embarrassed or feel like there was any pressure from him. That's why I think he never watched me do these things. I think he knew that if I had made a mistake, or I had said something and it didn't come out right, or I had forgotten what I had needed to say, or messed up during that talk, that speech, whatever, that he knew that I would take it maybe more personal, more hurtful, if I caught his glance in the height of that mistake. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe my dad closed his eyes because the brother was fucking asleep, and he just, maybe that. But what it really was, guys, what it really was is a fear. It was not in terms of this whole idea of giving yourself permission to make mistakes. That's what I want to talk with you guys about. But what it really was, what it really is for me, is the fear of shame, of feeling shame for making mistakes and having people find out about it. I think that's the bigger issue. I came into this equation, I came into this talk today, guys, around the idea of giving yourself permission to make mistakes or giving yourself permission to fail. But what I came to, as I was going through my notes, what I came to the conclusion, what it really was, it was not an issue of give myself permission to fail. It was utilize the shame or the fear of shame to produce willpower. You know, that, for me, and this is only me, I don't know how it's going to work out for you guys, but for me, that has been such a huge motivator. And it's generally never stemmed from mistakes that I've made. It's come from the shame of people saying, or me overhearing, or hearing something that makes me feel like that they don't believe that what I'm doing is possible, right? That makes me feel shame. Like I haven't been able to convince you. I haven't been able to show you. I haven't been able to prove to you. And for me, that, like, how I have translated that, interestingly, is into some semblance of shame. And that shame produces this willpower, this I'll show you, motherfucker. At least that's how I've internalized this shame. But what are we shamed of? What is this fear of shame really all about? What is it? Is it that we are ashamed? And I was writing these notes down. Is that we're ashamed because we went for it? Because we gave it our all? Is that what we're ashamed of? We're ashamed of that we're going for it 110%? That we're giving it our all? That when we go for it and we mess up, you'll have an opinion about me? Did you guys follow that logic? None of that makes any sense. What are you afraid of? What are you ashamed of? Where might you need to give yourself permission to fail? Because what happens if you fail? People will think something of you. We've talked about this. If people think something of you, wonderful. In 100 years, they'll be gone and so will you. No one will remember you, and they certainly won't remember what just happened. So what are we really fearful of in terms of giving ourselves permission to fail, or the fear of the shame of failure? Because we went for it? Because we gave it our all? But here's the problem, guys. When we go for it, and we mess up, we also get something done. We progress. You see, when my son fell off that bike in one of the most spectacular ways, it hurt. It looked like it hurt, bro. You know, you ever see someone get hit in like a football game or something like that, and you're like, bro, I felt that shit. Like, that fucking hurt. Like, when I saw my son flip over this bike and smash his left side into the handlebar, I was like, bruh, that's gonna leave a mark. And in that pain, and in that suffering, and in that shame, that I hopefully, to the best of my ability, showed my son that I am always gonna be here as best as I can. He never has to worry about me giving him shame. It'll never come from me. It'll be self-induced, I promise. But I was there, I get to give him a hug. And he made progress. He's one step closer. And that's what I told him. I said, you're one step closer, bro. It was good. You leaned in. You were up there for at least 2 seconds, bro. You know? We can keep ourselves from a life of progress. We can keep ourselves from a life of progress merely because of the fear, of the shame, or not being able to give ourselves a permission to try, to fail. When you make a mistake, my friends, you have just opened up a new territory to explore and conquer. I wrote it in my notes, and that, my friends, is one of my favorite things about learning, is that when you make a mistake, you have now entered into a brand new game, a brand new world, a brand new territory that you thought wasn't there, number one, but number two, you clearly haven't mastered because you fucked up. You messed up. You now have to conquer this new land. It's like the fog of war in StarCraft or Warcraft or any big MMO. You know, as your little toon is walking around the grass or walking around the map, there's this fog of war. You don't know what's out there. You don't know. But there could be treasure on the other side of the fog of war. There could be reward. There could be new resources. Vespine gas, motherfucker. We got to get that Vespine gas. There could be new challenge. Oh, and also there could be death on the other side of the fog of war. But that's what the game of life is all about. The game of life is walking into the fog of war. And what you're hoping for is reward, new resources, new challenges. Vespine gas. But you could be stepping into your death. That's what I love. I say proverbial death, not real death, but proverbial death, right? When you make a mistake, you've just opened up a new territory to conquer. That's good. I enjoy this. I mean, others don't, especially if you share your learnings with them. Sometimes people don't like it when you're learning new stuff. It's sometimes interesting. I don't know why I'm having this thought, but sometimes interesting how successful people forget the grind and how hard they had to work to get where they are. And when you share with successful people that you're learning something new, they laugh or they scoff or they're like, oh, that's interesting. All right, have fun with that. It's like, bruh, didn't you remember you had to learn something new? Didn't you remember when you were terrible? Didn't you remember that successful people today do it poorly before they do it well? Let me say that again. That's actually worth repeating. Successful people do it poorly before they do it well. Successful people do it poorly before they do it well. You have to go through the learning to take the 1% every day, the one step every day. Give yourself permission to make mistakes if you're going to move forward. Fuck the shame. It produces will. I'll show you. I got this new territory to conquer. I didn't know this even existed. I can't believe I fell into this. I made a mistake and I've fallen into a new world. I did not know what I didn't know, and I didn't know that this great new land needs to be conquered by me now. Any investment in experience avails higher levels of productivity and higher levels of efficiency. Do. Go. Don't quit trying. Don't stop learning. This is what I told and always try to remind my kids about. All the time. Every time they make a mistake, I remind them. I say, keep going. Try again. Keep going. I'm here. We got this. And so for you guys out there listening today, I hope that you will give yourself permission to go forward, permission to make mistakes, permission to fail. Fuck the shame. Produces will. So what if someone thinks something about you because you went for it? You went for it with all you had. You gave it your all, and people saw you failed. Oh well. Tomorrow's a new day. 3 things to remember. 3 things to remember when you're giving yourself permission to fail and move forward. Leverage your support. Those who do. They care about you. They want to help you. Number 2, just take 1 step at a time. Keep going. Keep going. And number 3, never forget that the 1% today is the goal. And the mistakes that you make are never more important than your goal. Your goal is always going to be greater than your mistakes. So leverage your support, keep going step by step, and remember the goal, whatever that is. Guys, give yourselves permission to fail. Face what is shaming you or you thought would shame you. In my son's example, my son thought poorly. He was mistaken. He thought that he would look at me and I would shame him for making a mistake. Nah, bruh, I'm on your team. Don't worry about what people think. Keep moving forward, guys. You got this. This is Peter, the Bitcoin Lambo. If you like this episode, guys, subscribe, smash the Lizzie like button, and if you double think about it, send this to somebody. Send it to somebody that might need it. Oh, and give me a comment below, sucker.